Hello, you juicy. Jim Sterling here, and this is What Remains of Edith Finch, and I'm going to have to apologise up front. This game is a lot of talking, and I'm going to be talking as well. So, if you came here to follow the story, and if you don't like people who quote-unquote, talk over cutscenes and all that kind of thing, don't, just F off. Because I'm going to talk about What Remains of Edith Finch, okay? By Giant Sparrow. They did The Unfinished Swan, which was the painting game, where everything was white and you painted it out with colours and things. It was a good game. It wasn't all that great. This, however, I love. Really, really like this. By the time this video's up, the review for the game will be up on thejimquisition.com. And it's a high scorer, because I think it's really fucking good. Now, it is a walking simulator for those who, use that term. But for me, what sets it apart from a lot of the also-rans is just how much they bother with the interactive portion of it. A lot of this interactive fiction, interactive drama, they'll focus on the fiction and the drama a lot, and when it comes to the interactive bit, it's often walk around and listen to stuff, walk around and look at other people do stuff, which, for me, I don't feel involved in that. So then I feel like, well, what's the point of me playing it? I might as well not be here. That's how I feel about it anyway. Excuse me, had to clear my throat there rudely in the middle of the video. This is pre-recorded footage that I'm talking over, as I am wont to do. I've beaten the game. That more and more feels like a redundant term for a lot of games. I have finished the game, shall we say, and just found myself liking it more and more as it went on. I'm going to show you the first story. It's a compilation of stories about members of the Finch family and how they all basically died. And this is the first one of them. There's spoilers, obviously. The whole thing is story. Everything's a spoiler. The review is pretty much spoiler-free, which is... It's always difficult to talk about story-based games like this, especially in such a spoiler-conscious environment that we're in. But I think I did a good job of describing everything without giving any real major plot details away. But anyway, this video is obviously going to be a lot more towards the spoiling of the plot details. This is Molly Finch, 10 years old, and this is her last night, essentially. And things get a little interesting. Every single story, every single Finch story is a little different in terms of how you interact with it. It is still, mostly this, walking around and touching stuff and looking at things. Not necessarily high-stakes combat or anything like that. But where I said that they focus on the interactive just as much as the drama, they have looked at what these games can do and how that can be expanded. Whereas so many of these games are content to just have you be the camera person for their story. This game does stuff like this, essentially, where you're walking around and boom, now you are a cat. Still doing the same stuff, but now there's just this slight mechanic of, which I was trying to learn here, you holding down a button to ready a jump and then pouncing. And that's how that goes. And the other stories, other Finch stories, play out differently to this. Again, still a lot of going from point A to point B while the story unfolds. I don't know why I didn't jump for the gutter. That was my gut reaction, or rather my gutter reaction. But anyway, I'm back on track here with the cat thing. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Every story has a little twist on the concept of walking and the simulation thereof, I suppose. Still after the old bird here. And I think I think this story will give you a good idea of why exactly I have found it so compelling. And more to the point, I will be showing a second story from later on in the game, so that's an early warning for you. Because that was the moment where I truly fell in love with the game, and I think immediately you will see why. The moment that book with that story is opened, and in fact if you've played the game, then you will know to what I'm referring. So as you can see, the story's progressed into something even more different, as we are now an owl looking for skittering things. Here we go. Rabbit. So the controls for everything are all fairly straightforward and simple. Left stick to walk around and right stick to move. That's easy enough to grasp. Speaking of grasping, boof, rabbit. Yeah, this gets a little bit watership down, kids. So you might want to look away. As you can see, it was at this moment where the penny dropped, and I was like, this is a little bit different from the other ones I've played. And if you've followed this channel for any length of time, you'll know how many of these I've played. Not just the famous ones. You know, not just everybody's fucked off to Rapture. Not just Edith. No, not this one's Edith. The other one, Dear Esther. That's Dear Edith. There's a crossover for the fucking ages. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought now. I've said all I ever want to say on Dear Esther, I think. So yeah, this is the moment where I was, yeah, this is not quite what I expected, certainly. You know, I knew it was along the lines of these sorts of games, and I'd forgot about that. So I was talking about the controls, as well as the basic movement controls. If you're using a controller as I did, this is recorded from the PS4. It's the right trigger on a DualShock to interact with certain things. That's the opening of doors and picking up stuff.
I rolled off a cliff
all along the roads. I mean, that shark would be dead. I mean, that just tells you how, you know, silly 10-year-olds are, that they think a shark can survive falling down a fucking cliff, basically, bashing into tarmac. And then, I mean, it wouldn't even clear rocks if it's fallen off a cliff edge, let alone be in any fit state to go after a seal and bite a bit of it. It's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal, but that's nature. That is nature for you. Can't really... I should have truncated this bit. This bit goes on a fairly lengthy grip of time. Yeah, no, there it is. Yeah, I actually am going to truncate it. Give me a second. There we go. I forgot there was a bit where I missed the seal, and it was just a lengthy bit of boringness, so I just got rid of that. Just cut that swiftly so you didn't have to bother with it. And here we are as a monster. That's the deal with that. I was trying to get used to the controls for this bit. I wasn't quite sure what the fuck was going on. But you're using the stick to push the tentacle forward and then pressing the trigger to drag yourself, whatever it is. Like, drag it forth. Which, again, like I said, they even within this one story, they've really played around with this idea of what a, you know, quote-unquote walking simulator is. And I just find that really cool, that they focus not just on the story, but on the interactive part, which I feel gets... ironically, you know, overlooked when that's supposed to be the difference maker between this and a film or a book or a what have you, is the interactive portion. So many of these games seem to neglect it. It feels like an afterthought, at least to me. You know, it just feels like you're walking around a museum, which I don't find all that compelling. And it doesn't have to be this dramatic. You know, I love the Stanley Parable, which, you know, has far less variety than this. That really is a lot of walking and you know, some jumping and pushing a few things. But it's just the way that the game behaves, responding on the where you're moving and the decisions you're making. It just provides enough of a hook to make you part of the experience. And this one, as I say, this one goes the extra mile. I think it really goes above and beyond and does what it can to experiment with still within a very restricted rule set of what it is and what it can be. So that's, yeah, pretty gruesome, as you can see. And before this story starts, it is very traditional feeling. You know, you're going... In fact, it starts off quite cliche. You're walking along a wooded path toward the destination, you know, toward where the story's about to properly start. So many of these games begin that way, you know. I'm going to wander slowly out in a little wildernessy bit while the introductory paragraphs begin. So it starts off in this cliche manner, and yet really expands and goes into all sorts of wild directions. So we're almost coming to the end of this particular story, and we will be seeing a later portion of the game coming up. I just realised I had the speakers up for this next bit of the recording. I briefly stopped and then turned it up to do a little audio tweaking, and then I just heard some music coming through. Music in this game, by the way, I think is an absolute delight. It varies up throughout, again, like everything else, and fits the tone, because each story has different tones. Some of them can be creepy like this, there are weird ones, fantastical ones, really quite tragic ones. So there's a good variety, but they all have a very cohesive flow to them. They all make sense. They're not like too dissonant, because they're all told with this same sort of... There's a unifying style to them. I think the text helps, gives it sort of this visual unification.
I'm not sure
and we've got the main protagonist here as the bridge between everything, with their own story to tell that weaves together nicely. So here comes the next one. If you are interested in playing the game for yourself, do not watch this one, because you would need to see it. You would need to really see it for yourself. Again, I'm going to talk over it. I'm loath to do that, but I'm personally of the opinion that, you know, it's... if you're uploading a story-based game and you're not talking over it, I see the argument that some can make that, well, it shouldn't be a game if that's how it can be enjoyed, but I was about to go me personally. Me personally, I love this game. But from a personal standpoint, I'm not all that happy about uploading. I mean, I don't generally like to do playthroughs of story-based games, because A, I don't like competing with the voices, and B, the other reason I wouldn't want to upload this without commentary is just... just out of respect for what the game is and what it tries to be, and just how reliant it is on story. It's why I don't do things like Telltale stuff either, for both of those reasons. If that makes sense. I might not be making much sense. So, if I'm not. But immediately, you can just see, if you are still with us, a dramatic difference in style to the last one. But still, with that, the way it's written is still keeping a similar undertone, even if the overtone is very different. As this recounts another Finch tale. This was a child actress who was famous for about 2 years, and this is her dying, and if I recall correctly, the age of 16. I know it would have probably said so by now, but I'm speaking with the volume off at the moment, because if I was trying to talk with these voices going on, it would drive me up the fucking wall. I don't know how this is going to sound to you folks, but this is really the only way to do it. The only way to really do it, unless I were to mute this entirely and just, you know, play some of my own personal favourite hits from throughout the years of music that we've enjoyed together as a human race. I could do that, but then people would complain about where's the game sound, so... You can't please everybody, so I'm just going to do what pleases me best. And here, again, was another moment for me where I'm like, oh, very nice. Very nice. This was the story that made me fall in love with the game. And, yeah, I'm speaking with the sound off, as I say. But I do believe the Halloween theme is playing right now. Which is just delightful. And armed with the crutch, we already know by this point in the game that the right trigger does things. So, yes, it hits stuff. And again, don't expect there to be this sudden zombie minigame or anything. Let's disavow ourselves of that fantastical, whimsical thought right now. But it is a slight variation again on the interactive drama situation and all that business. And what's this? I'm getting messages in the middle of the thing. Okay, no problem. Right. I am... Sorry, I'm in the midst of planning a trip away. I'm at McNabb's down by the coast for Tabletop Gaming Day. If anyone is around about that area, feel free to drop by. But this is planned to go up on Saturday, so, you know, if you are out of ways, you'll probably miss me. So don't go rushing or anything, any of that. Let me just... Right, okay, I'm done with that planning. Inopportune, but I am running on a very tight schedule, which is why that unprofessionalism is being kept in. I've got to get this recorded and done right quick. So, there we are with that situation. We are drawing this bit to a close, though. The video, you know, well, it's actually got a fair little bit left to it. Actually, you know what? I don't think I will conclude this. I think I've shown enough of it off. And, yeah, I think I'll be a dick and keep people hanging. But suffice it to say, this is one of the best examples of the genre. And I think even people who don't like these sorts of games might want to check this one out. Maybe. I wouldn't 100% say, oh, you've got to. But if you are a skeptic of the genre, give it a try maybe. And I will sign off and leave this hanging. Bye!
Orcas Island Police described the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand.
Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.